headline today. This is something that I didn't really necessarily expect to happen. And I don't think I need to blow this video up too much more. I mean, it's you can, I'll blow it up anyways. Why not? It's just a 5-second, 6-second video. You can see there's a guy from Apex Tattoos. This is in North Carolina, by the way. I wanted to make sure this is real because it was just some random verified person on Twitter that was taking this video. But sure enough, there's an article attached to it as well. And this actually happened. So police did come in and arrest an individual, the person that was running Apex Tattoo, who was just open in defiance of an order. And this, I don't know, Sean, I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm just bringing up a conversation. But I think this was the question that people were inevitably going to ask is, as we're getting closer to some of these people's frustration, as we're getting closer to people just jumping counties to do what they were going to do anyways, as we're getting closer to people just needing to make a living, let's be for real. That's one of the other things that's been frustrating for people so far is those that are criticizing right now, either the protest or wanting to open up early. The vast majority of the time, I would venture to say at least 90% of the time and above, those individuals that are criticizing usually, don't take my step, but usually have jobs that they can maintain. It's difficult for them to empathize, and I'm not sympathize. It's difficult for them to empathize with someone that doesn't have a job right now, someone that literally needs. What are they supposed to do at this point? I mean, you either rely upon the government to come through at the specific moment when you need them to come through, or you got to open back up again. And that's why I'm asking the question, man, of what we saw in North Carolina happen over the weekend. Here's the quick headline if you need to know. It comes from Newsweek. This is Newsweek, North Carolina, reporting on it. Tattoo artist and business owner was arrested in Raleigh, North Carolina. This happened just last week, Wednesday afternoon. Law enforcement learned that he opened despite the state lockdown orders. Now, it goes on to say that this individual, Cooper's executive order, this is Governor Cooper, I think, executive orders, defers enforcement of the directives outlined in the state and local police officers, noting that violators could be subject to prosecution. It states that offenses are punishable as a Class 2 misdemeanor, which carries a maximum penalty of 60 days in jail or a $1,000 fine in North Carolina. Now, whether the tattoo artist was arrested on Wednesday or prosecuted whether he will be prosecuted is still unclear. But you saw it right there. I just wanted people to know that this is tagged with an actual, article to see where are people standing on this, man. And again, I don't know exactly. So fine. Let's say Mr. Henry, law and order guy, whatever, did the law school thing. I get it. Let's say the law's out there. Let's say I want to blame this properly. I did see some commentary from some other news channels saying, well, technically speaking, they think some of this is misplaced on law enforcement. I don't know if you want to go down that road. That's fine. Misplaced on law enforcement, meaning that they're just following the laws that the legislature put in place, or they're following the laws that the executive order put in place. That they're following what they've been told. I'm not going down that road right now. Please believe me. I understand where the Facebook comments are about to go with that. Just understand when I say you could put it there if you wanted to, but the matter still remains, Shine. Like, these things are happening. And my point is, so what are you trying to affect them by that arrest? What's the purpose of that arrest? Is it to get someone in jail? Is it to stop them from being open? If you put this person in jail, aren't you making them highly more susceptible and much more likely to get something from being in small confined spaces and closed with each other? I don't know. I just don't know the purpose of it is the point I'm making.
Absolutely, Mr. Henry. I think a little bit of it is deterrence, probably. If I were a betting man, I would say it's deterrence because they don't have the ability to use force. Just a short programming note. I don't have any idea why, but our video just restarted on all platforms. I won't spend too much time on it because I don't like doing a lot of producer-type stuff on the air. But I didn't have anything on my end, like with my streaming software, Mr. Henry, that showed me that happened. But it restarted on Facebook and YouTube. People are beginning to find their way back to the stream now. Looks like it. I reposted it on the AFP Knoxville and Franklin groups to my page. But this is all the more, there's a little programming note, all the more reason why you should bookmark Real News Radio Live, or realnewsradio.live. So if the stream ever goes down on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, you can go to realnewsradio.live. The stream will be going there, and you can click either Facebook or YouTube, and that way you have both links in case one of those ever goes down. You have a backup stream, or there's always a stream at realnewsradio.live. Now, getting back, it looks like people are getting back into the stream now. We apologize for that. Still, I'll try to figure out what happened after the show. But Mr. Henry was just talking about that arrest in North Carolina of the tattoo artist who decided to stay open in defiance of state law. and we were discussing, like, why would they do that? And I think you got to say, Mr. Henry, there's not the ability of the North Carolina State Police or even probably municipal police to enforce everybody staying home, let alone all the businesses staying closed. So what they did was make a big stink about one person. It makes the news, and that discourages other people. I think we also saw that story. Man, where was it? It was about that guy keeping his brewery open. Was that New York or Maine? It was in Maine, where he lost his health license and his beer license because he stayed open. And they didn't do that because, and he's going to sue over it, but the main reason they do that is deterrence, I would say, is to, like, look at what happened to that guy. You don't want that to happen to you, you know? So anyway.
Well, and I hear you, man, and that's exactly the reason why they're doing it. It just seems to be such a frustrating way to get the point across that you should probably stay home. And I think, hopefully, the way that the President Trump, I would hope anyways, and his administration is handling this going forward is possibly going to be the best way to do it. And by that, I mean telling people, if you don't have to be out, and especially if you're of a particular demographic that is susceptible to this, meaning underlying conditions or age or whatever that might be, then stay in if you need to. Stay even if you can. All right. Now, some of these people still need to get back. Let me play this clip real quick here, and I think this will put a good mark on the point that I'm trying to make. This is from last night. All this is linked in the show notes section, by the way, if you want to follow along or check back later on if you're watching after we go off the live broadcast here. President Trump held a town hall last night on Fox News. It was also broadcast on YouTube, which is a fantastic thing, especially for our programs like this. Listen to this question, though. It's coming at the 2-minute and 20-second mark into the first part one. Just listen to this. This paints a perfect picture as to what I'm talking about.
Coleman, Alabama.
Mr. President, my name is Shana Cruz, and I'm a single mother from Alabama. I lived paycheck to paycheck before the virus, but then I lost my job in March. I haven't received a stimulus payment or anything from unemployment. I'm behind on every bill, about to be evicted from my home, and I've had to rely on donations in order to feed my children. I feel frustrated and I feel scared not knowing where to turn or what to do. What advice do you have for me and others in my situation? Is there more help coming?
All right, now just to pause here, and then I'll let President Trump respond. You all heard what this is exactly what I'm talking about, where people are saying, like, look, I don't qualify for such and such. I get this other thing, but it's not going to be nearly enough. I have rent, I have mortgage coming forward, I have kids that I'm trying to provide for. What do you want me to do? What do you want an average individual like myself to do here? I mean, look, this person's saying I'm still lucky enough, thankfully, to actually have a job, but it's a job that I possibly can't show up to. So what am I supposed to do in this situation and that's what I'm starting to feel from a lot of people. And honestly, Shine, I'm not even sure what point I'm trying to make with this today, right? I'm literally just posing these questions to the audience to get some feedback, and posing these questions to people that are watching this program back later on, is I'm starting to feel where some of these people are coming from, because I've been speaking to a few individuals. We actually have an individual on the program either tomorrow morning or Wednesday morning. I don't want to give too much of this information away now as to who it is, but this person owns a bowling alley out in the Cookeville area, and just over the weekend, I had a conversation with this individual talking about how they had to fire 25 different employees, and the process they had to go through for the PPP, and the process they have to go through to get people back on the payroll now. And now this individual is encountering an entirely different problem of, well, now that I'm reopening again, and bowling alleys are the last to be able to do this, but now that I'm reopening again, she's talking to some of her previous employees, and her employees are telling her, look, unfortunately, or fortunately, I suppose, in how you look at this, unfortunately for the owner, they're actually making more money not working for the bowling alley right now because of the stimulus check coupled with what they're getting through unemployment and some other things. I don't know how the factors work, but the simple fact of the matter is that some of them are saying it makes less financial sense for me to come back to work. There's now a financial, monetary incentive to stay at home for these individuals because they're saying, I'm not making as much money there. What do you want me to do? And this thing is in place, this additional $800 or this employment. I don't know. That thing is in place at least through the end of July. So these people are thinking to themselves, well, I have another 2 or 3 months of stuff set up for me. So why would I come back and take a financial hit and risk further exposure to myself? And the business owner is saying, well, what am I supposed to do in that situation then? And your person you see on the screen right now saying is like, I have a job, but I can't go back. This is what I'm saying. I'm not even sure if I'm trying to make a point. I'm starting to sympathize.
I'll make a
with
point
them.
that Republicans told Democrats when we were going through the CARES Act that this would happen. And I'm not saying Republicans are right all the time. I'm not saying that they're right because they're Republicans. I'm just saying that happened. That Republicans said we want to give a one-time check, and then we'll come back. If people need more money, we'll send them another one-time check. Democrats were hardcore about the unemployment insurance. They were hardcore about making this an unemployment thing as opposed to sending people a check, like reoccurring payments for so many months. And the Democrats were the ones who said, we don't need to just pay them the money for their job. We need to give them extra because it's for health care, probably, I think is why they said it, because they might have to go to the doctor and they need some extra money. And at the time, who could argue with that? At the time, if you're the Republican Party, you make the point like, hey, we want people to eventually go back to work, but we don't want to be the party arguing for people getting less money right now in a time when everybody is unemployed and we have the largest amount of unemployment we've had since the Great Depression. But there were people who said this would happen.
Oh, yeah.
That if we pay them more than their job did, they will not go back to work. And Democrats said, you're so cynical, Republicans. People just need money. They like to work. No, people don't like working for less money than they get when they don't work. People don't do that. It's called incentive. There's no incentive to work when you get paid more money to sit at home and play video games and watch Oprah. I mean, that should be prima facie true, which means obviously true. And I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying Republicans are right all the time. I'm not saying Republicans are right because they're Republicans. You know, I mean, people who've watched me over the years know that I will roast a Republican who's doing the wrong thing anytime, anywhere, any day, doesn't matter who they are. But this was not a surprise to people that this would cause. And I want to say, who knows how many people won't go back to work, won't produce the value, won't incentivize trade, and will be contributing to inflation and deflation by sitting at home instead of producing value and collecting government money. How bad could it possibly get because of that one thing? That was predicted by some people who are decision makers. So it's not like this flew by anybody, like this is some kind of sneaky surprise. We all knew that if you give people money to stay home and it's more than they would get from working, that they would stay home. Everybody knows that.
Daniel said in Facebook a second ago, as far as things being predictable, he says in Facebook, the business owners needs to raise prices and pay more than unemployment. The government set up a situation to create inflation. They should get it. That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of this stuff is predictable. And honestly, one of the most unfortunate things that I think, as far as something being predictable, that's come out of a lot of these programs is what we would call, I don't know, crony capitalism, corporate welfare, right? And I think we're about to see it again. I really do think we're about to see it again with some of these state bailouts. I'm going to get on that in a question here in a second because we have some more of this from the presidential town hall. But I'm telling you, man, like we saw this stuff coming. We saw a lot of this stuff coming where what did we spend? Like close to $2 trillion, almost $3 trillion over the last couple of months. How much of that has actually gone to individuals that need the help? I mean, I think the question that's still being left out there and still lingering is how much of this stuff is going to massive corporations. That, dude, I just don't like the idea of government picking winners and losers. That's the last I'll say it right now. Back to this question here, though. We set up the question. Here's President Trump's response. Here we go.
Number one, there's more help coming. We have really no choice because incredible people like this are.
Yes, I know. President Trump's response. 2 seconds into it, though. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see why I set this up, Sean? Do you see what I'm talking about when you have a $3 trillion that we're talking about spending another $6 trillion possibly over the next whenever, another $4 trillion in liquidity that we're going to deal with. We're going to. They are talking about getting the national debt to around $30 trillion within the next couple of years, if not the next couple of months. This is not a joke, y'all. All right. And President Trump, he comes out here, and I'm going to have to call balls and strikes as I see them. I do not like what Trump just said here. Listen, because I think he's being realistic. I think he's being honest, but listen to this response.
Number one, there's more help coming. We have really no choice because incredible people like this are.
You hear what I'm saying? So, look, first of all, and this is what I'm hearing. Real News Audience, tell me if I'm wrong, but this is exactly what I'm hearing. He's saying more help is coming. Meaning more stimulus package, more money being spent, more inflation, I suppose, more just printing of money. I mean, that's the other question. Is like, where is this money coming from? I think that's a question people need to stop and ask for a second. It's like, what do you mean more help is coming, more money? Is it taxpayer dollars y'all are just giving back? Or y'all just continually printing this stuff out of thin air? Right? Because we have major economic problems that are going to come on the back of this. But he also says, because what else are we going to do? because people like this need help because you put this question in front of my face, Fox News. So I'm now forced to obligate myself, i.e. the taxpayer, burden future generations with paying a bunch of this stuff back because this individual needs help. So what am I supposed to do? Because my other experts came to me and said, you got to shut down the economy because we had this coronavirus situation going on. So it's this darned if you do, darned if you don't type thing, man. I'll let President Trump continue.
It's not your fault. I mean, just remember that it's not your fault. And there is more help coming. There has to be. And we want to get it to a point when we open, we're not going to lose businesses. And therefore, more importantly, frankly, we're not going to lose the jobs that run the businesses. So a case like that is an exact, it's really, that's the reason why we have to do more. And we're going to do more. And everybody wants to do more. It's actually on that aspect of it, it's very bipartisan. So the answer is yes, we're going to do more. And you're going to have your job. You're going to get another job, or you're going to get a better job. You get a job where you make more money, frankly. And I think that's going to happen. I think we're going to have an incredible following year. We're going to go into a transition in the third quarter, and we're going to see things happening that look good. I really believe that. I have a good feel for this stuff. I've done it for a long time. We built the greatest economy in the world.
All right,
the greatest economy.
A bit more. Look, I hope he's right when he says that, right? I really do hope he's right when he says that we're going to have the greatest economy come back around. Stephen Mnuchin apparently thinks the exact same thing. But, at the same time, I think that's part of their job to push some of those exact notions. I mean, it plays perfectly into this next question, too, of they were asked what protocols will be put in place for COVID-19 testing to ensure people and staff are safe.
Hold on one second.
They're talking about a second wave of this. Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely.
John.
Well, I don't think it's hollow words when they say they think it's going to come back. And let me tell you why. I feel
like
about
the economy, obviously.
Yeah, I'm
right?
talking about the economy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is true for everybody, but I feel like it'll be true for a sizable portion of Americans. If Americans are told, and I think this needs to start coming from the White House and needs to start coming from our state governors or anyone in leadership, culturally, politically, or what have you. If people are told you need to go out there and produce value, or you will suffer, your children will suffer, and at this point, your grandchildren will suffer. We need to go out there and produce value, things that people want, things that people need, or there will be a struggle. I think if you put in the kind of weight that people have put into telling people to stay home, if you put that kind of weight behind the message of get out there and work, go out there and produce value, go out there and get ahead of all these other nations, I think people will respond. And I think people have been sitting at home evaluating the value they create during this crisis. I think, when you sit at home, you don't go out and fill your time with distraction like lots of us do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But lots of us spent lots of our time before this going out and experiencing distraction. And I think this time for a lot of people has been a hard time. It's been a stressful time, but I also think it's been a time of reflection. How much value do I produce? There's so many memes about if